The Nature of Fashion, Lecture 1, Part 3. Components of Fashion Design. There are four basic components: silhouette, which is the overall outline or contour; details, which are the individual elements that give a silhouette form or shape; texture, which affects the look and feel of material, woven or non-woven. Color is a key factor in apparel selection. Color changes with consumer preferences. Silhouette. There are three basic silhouette forms: bell-shaped, bustle, and straight. There are four variations of straight, which include slim, rectangular, wedge, and A-line. Details includes trimmings, skirt and pant length and width, and shoulder, waist, and sleeve treatment. Let's take a look at the three pictures here. The trench coat on the left is detailed with novelty buttons. The peplum top in the middle has details in the puffed sleeves. The high-waisted jeans on the right has details in the pant leg width as well as the waist treatment. Texture. Texture can affect the appearance of a silhouette. It can make it appear bulky or slender. It can affect the drape of a garment as well as the color of fabric. Let's take a look at these two trench coats. The one on the left has more of a slender silhouette, while the one on the right has more of a bulky silhouette due to its texture. If we take a closer look at the photograph on the right, we'll notice that the model is also wearing a belt and boots. When we look at the color black of the belt and boots and compare it to the color black of the coat, the blacks will appear slightly different. This is again due to the texture of the fabric. Remember, fabric either absorbs or reflects light. Color. Color is important in advertising, packaging, and store decor. Historically, color has been used to denote rank and profession. Most of us associate the color purple with royalty. Fashion forecasting color companies are very important to the industry as they predict upcoming colors for the new seasons. Pantone and Color Marketing Group are two color forecasting companies that businesses utilize. The fashion cycle. Let's take a look at this Balenciaga shoe. This particular shoe is called the Balenciaga knit shoe or knit sneaker. This shoe became widely popular to certain target markets within the recent years. Even Cardi B has talked about the shoe in her song, I Like It Like That. I like those Balenciagas, the ones that look like socks. So let's pause for a second and think back to the beginning of the chapter when we talked about fashion, merchandising, and marketing. While Cardi B in her song is promoting her music, she is also promoting and marketing for Balenciaga. The 5 stages of the fashion cycle. Introduction. New fashion is introduced to the market. Rise. Original design or its adaptations are accepted by an increasing number of customers. Culmination. Fashion is at the height of its popularity and use. Decline. There is a decrease in consumer demand for the product. In obsolescence, there is a total lack of interest for the style. It can no longer be sold at any price. Let's take a look at this graph. So in the innovation stage, new product is introduced, and that product will have a rise in the acceptance by an increasing number of consumers. This is also the stage where you will begin to see knockoffs of a product and also adaptations of a product. Adaptations will have many of the dominant features of the product, but it is not an exact copy. In the culmination stage, the product begins to have mass acceptance. It is now available in different price ranges to meet consumers' budgeting needs. In the decline stages, the product is no longer of interest to the consumer. At this point, you can't give away the product. The lengths of the fashion cycle. So there are variations in the fashion cycle. You have fad, flop, and seasonal staple. With the fad, you will see that the trend, or the fad, I should say, accelerates quickly. But once it hits its peak, it also declines quickly. With the flop, the product barely makes it off of the ground. And with seasonal staples, those are going to be your items that are like swimsuits or winter apparel such as scarves and gloves. Keep in mind that it is impossible to predict the time span of a fashion cycle, as each cycle or each fashion moves at its own speed. The consumer buying cycle. So every fashion has a consumer buying cycle and a consumer use cycle. The curve of the consumer buying cycle rises in direct relation to the consumer's use cycle. Once fashion has reached its peak, buying tends to decline more rapidly than usage. So while we may no longer be buying a product, we will continue to utilize it for a certain time period. All right, class, this wraps up part 3 of lecture 1. Next up, we'll talk about the intangibles of fashion.